My guests today are both musicians from Seattle. The first is a singer and songwriter, and the second, a producer who's making his second appearance on the pod. I'm excited to welcome Daizha Richardson and Nate Tirey.
Hello, what's up?
What up, what up?
How you do? Did I fuck up the name?
Nope.
Oh, man, we just lost a light. Hold on, let me switch the battery. Before I jump out of screen, how do you guys know each other?
We actually met at Zillow. We're on the same floor, and I think people were like telling us that we should like meet up because we both were musicians.
Yeah. People were like, we were in the same little row of desks, and I think someone probably told Daizha like, oh, dude plays piano or something. Or someone told me like, oh, Daizha sings, and I think Daizha was like, that dorky ass dude, he plays music? Okay. But sure enough, we hit it off like nothing, so.
And I was like, does he play piano or does he play piano? And like, he played a piano really well.
Yeah, I've listened to a bunch of your stuff because you worked with Henry for a while, and our producer Henry, if anybody is new to the pod, and dude, your music is great. Like, I love your stuff. And
love.
This episode's going to be a little different than what we normally do. Sorry for having to jump out of screen there. It's a weird way to start, but we're going to have you guys actually play some music on, and you'll be the first people like actually playing music on the podcast. So excited about it.
Let's do it.
Let's see. So I did want to talk about, like, I'm curious about just, like, I write a lot, and I do cartoon writing and, like, comedy writing. And, like, for coming up with an idea for a song, like, what's your process like for that? Like, how do you, is it just random inspiration, or like how many breakup songs have you written? Like,
I'm the Taylor Swift of R&B. No, I was kidding. I think for me, it's actually funny. I was just telling Nate today when we were playing one of my songs, I'm like, not me manifesting my next heartbreak. Like, sometimes it's just completely out of thin air. Like, one of the newest songs that I actually will be releasing soon, I was just in the studio vibing out, and I really was obsessed with the production that was being created by Nima, who I was working with. And I just remember like just kind of like freestyling, and then we were like, hey, we kind of like that, like let's keep that. So I think sometimes, yes, it is maybe based off of experience, but also sometimes it's just like, sometimes music makes me just feel a certain way, and I just start saying words that like the you know, production side of it, would you call it that? The producer is creating, and it makes me feel like the words that I'm saying.
Yeah, just kind of ad-libbing. That's kind of weird though. Like, I can't imagine like saying words and singing them at the same time that are completely new.
I don't know, and that's another thing we were talking about today too, is just like music making you feel a certain way. Mm-hmm. So like sometimes I'll listen to a beat, and that's why I like working with this guy so much, is because like when you just hear something, it just like makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I speak music.
Well, I've heard people say like Hendrix was the only guitarist that could speak through his guitar, and music being that feeling thing, and it's hard to like. Some of these are weird questions because as a creative person, like talking about art and creation and all this shit, it's a weird thing to try to put words to, even though that's what you're talking about doing. But
it
like,
is, yeah.
How did you get into music? Like, did you have an instrument you played, or was it vocals or?
Yeah, I think my grandma bought me a guitar when I was like 5 years old, and I played the same tune, like the same like 2 chords, and like just put any song to it. Mm-hmm. And then I got older, and my mom was like, oh wait, I think you can kind of sing. And so she would like have me performing at birthday parties. But then she was like, oh, we might be able to make money off of you. And so like now we're like at an airport, and she's like, if you want to be famous, you better sing right now. And like, so I would just be performing on it, like, you know, on at an airport or on a train, like just random places like that. And she was like the crazy momager. And it's crazy because even out here, like I've worked with certain people in the past that I'm like coming across now, and I'm like, oh, like I don't have my mom anymore, like, but I'm still doing music, like I hope we can work together again. And so yeah, I started singing just when I was like 5 years old, and it started with a little Walmart guitar.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in Merced, California.
Okay.
And then my parents moved like everywhere. So like I lived in Arizona, I lived in New York, New Mexico, like
Damn.
Vegas. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Military or like what?
Nope. Just
what?
Crazy parents.
Okay.
Like no military, all choice.
Did like when you were growing up playing music, did you have a certain artist that you like gravitated specifically to? Like
Not necessarily. Like my parents, I grew up on oldies. Like my parents loved like Al Green and like I think I personally as a little kid, I would just want to listen to Beyonce all day, you know, things like that. But my mom made sure that I knew like the old school music as well. So like I feel more comfortable like singing like more like belting style music, right? But I'm trying to like get into and get comfortable with R&B, right, as well, because I also feel that I feel great when I write that kind of music. But yeah, I would just say old school / like Beyonce, Alicia Keys, like the you know, the kind of the mainstream R&B people too.
you have like a lot of acoustic stuff too. I was like, is Taylor Swift like?
I'm not gonna lie. But old Taylor.
Okay.
Old Taylor, the first album. Yes, I love Taylor Swift.
Are you a Taylor fan too?
I'm a Taylor supporter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I go out of my way to listen, but she does great work.
What's your? I mean, I'm sure we talked about it, dude, but it's been a pandemic and a minute since we talked. Like, what was your background in music and like? Because I know you started like you and Henry were just like in a college dorm room messing around. Now you're like working with a lot of big artists in Seattle, you know, and like what was your background?
Yeah, for sure. Just always loved music growing up. Ended up getting tossed into like just classical piano lessons when I was 10, playing like jazz guitar shortly thereafter, like jazz band kid type thing back in the day.
I didn't realize you were a jazz band kid.
Yeah, for a second there, just for a couple 3 years, you know, and just got into different styles of music, got into hip hop like later in high school. And then kind of like stopped making music for a second. And then maybe junior year of college was like, how hard could it be to make some beats, right? Naively. And so I started just kind of messing around in, you know, like digital audio workstation, right? And just like trying to make beats.
Yeah.
And so few thousand, whatever beats later, finally got a little bit better and was able to kind of work with some folks off it.
Like, what is your like, what's the day in the life for you? Like, because you're still working a 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
And then like, are you just going into the studio for like 8 hours at a time after that, or what?
Yeah, it varies. I used to kind of like force it almost like every day. I gotta grind out some beats. You know, I've kind of lately shied away from that and just kind of come with like more of an attitude of like when it hits, it hits. Like when you're in that zone, you got an idea. Like let's spend all day, all night. And when it's not there, like, you know, maybe you're sitting there kind of trying to make something. It's not really turning out that great. Just like don't force it necessarily. So kind of varies.
Does it? I don't think we talked about this at all, but like when you're adding like substances into the mix, like I'm sober, so I don't like fuck around with that stuff. But like, how does that affect stuff? Because I would imagine sometimes it's really good, and then other times you come back to it the next day, whether it's drinking or something else. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
Substance. I'm not gonna lie. I had a margarita before I came. I mean, what do you consider substance? Like,
well, I know you guys both have day jobs, so I tried to keep it pretty fucking vague there. Like, I don't want to get you in any kind of trouble, but you know, anything besides just booze. You know?
Okay, yeah. Well, I think naturally sometimes I can be very anxious, and I take the music so seriously sometimes that like I do think it's nice to like kind of vibe out, have like a little drink or something like that. I can't like, you know, smoke or anything like that because it, you know, messes up your vocal cords a little bit. Mm-hmm. And also I'm just way too paranoid for that. But Margarita didn't hurt anyone before a session.
Margarita never hurt anybody. Yeah, I think it varies. I would say like based on experience far in the past.
Yeah.
You know, it can be cool to just maybe like tap into a different headspace, especially if you're doing that with other people. You know what I mean? That are also kind of just trying to tap into some different energy, different wavelength, and kind of see what comes from that. And I've honestly seen like mixed results from that, but oftentimes you can come up with some really incredible stuff.
Yeah. Do you think it's really any different though? Like in that, like if you guys had just sat there and actually done the same thing with or without the like extra stuff there, like if you would have come up with,
so slick.
Yeah, like it
like I'm just trying to like catch up. I'm like, okay, like damn.
No, yeah, I think it can be a little different in the sense that maybe you're a little less inhibited. You're just on a very different wavelength. You know what I mean? Like,
but do you come back to it and like I've heard of people getting really fucked up in painting, and then the next day they come back to their painting. What is it? Like it's just a disaster. But like, does that happen with music?
I don't know. I've actually made some of the best stuff I've ever been a part of in a
long time
altered
ago.
mind state. Many
years
moons ago. Yeah. So I think it can vary. I don't think it's like, oh, that's a ticket to great work, but I don't think it's an inhibitor either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the crazy thing about music is like you can make a song that you're like super proud of and passionate about, and then like play it for someone and maybe like it doesn't resonate with them. So like music can just be interpreted in so many different ways.
For sure.
Like I can't imagine being like that's a bad song, right? Like because it's gonna appeal to somebody. It kind of just depends on who you play it for, really.
Yeah, but I mean. This is like that conversation of like, what is art? Like it's and there is like, you can look at stuff and be like, oh, that was executed well, or, you know, they recorded that well, but then there's also stuff that's like intentionally done in poor quality. Like, so I don't know.
And that's art too.
It's
so crazy.
Yeah.
It's weird to even like try to talk about, but like for you, Nate, are you, like she talked about, you know, songwriting a little bit, and like, I guess let's go back to that first. When you do sit down with ideas for like lyrics or something, is it random inspiration, or is it like you want to express something, or like does it vary from song to song?
It does vary from song to song, because I think when I sit there with like a plan, it never turns out well. Like for me, I can't plan ahead. I actually work better under pressure. So like I don't know. I think it just depends on what I'm feeling. Okay. I always write based off of just how I'm feeling in that moment, even if I haven't experienced something necessarily. But like what do I want to write about today? Like it's never, for me, it hasn't really been pre-planned. Okay.
And like how often are you writing? Like is it sort of like a all the time type of thing, or is it like in bursts, or? It's in bursts. Like sometimes, I don't know, like sometimes I will like be in bed and I'm like, I need to go and like write something right now. I need to play my guitar right now. Yeah. Like it's just a feeling. Like I cannot go to sleep. It's 3 a.m. and I work tomorrow. Yeah. But I need to like, I know what I'm feeling right now. I need to get this out. Because again, like the planning is where it's a little bit hard for me. But I would like to start writing more just out of, you know, not getting attached to every song that I write and just kind of just writing and flowing. Yeah. But right now it's just very like instinctual, if it makes sense. I mean, can I talk about your day stuff? Yeah. Like I just, you're a realtor, and like, is that hard going from like being in a creative headspace to then being in a professional one? And like, do you ever find yourself like for work, like you're sitting there, you have stuff you want to do, but you're really itching to go play music or because I feel like it's like getting the momentum is the hardest part, like making those habits of like doing it every day, like you said, but then it turns into a job of it in itself. And then like, so it's a weird balance of when you do have to like pay the bills still and work, but you still like you want to be creative. You don't want it to feel like a job, if that makes sense.
I think like this year specifically, because I work at Zillow with him too. So am I allowed to say that? Is that okay to say?
We can cut that.
We'll bleep that out or something.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know, we have the privilege to be able to work from home. Mm-hmm. And so this year, I don't know, this year really taught me that like there's so many hours in the day, and like what are you doing with all of your time? You only need to sleep for what, like 6 hours? Mm-hmm. So what are you doing with the remainder of your day, right? So for me, like I'm going to be real, like I'm not sitting at my computer, you know, during that 9 to 5 and like working the full time, and like we don't have to cut that out because everyone knows that. And so like sometimes I'll be like super stressed on a project, or super stressed, I just wrote a contract for a client, and I'm like, all right, let me go play some guitar now. Right? So I always fit it in where you can, you know, get it in.
The fucking cubicle life sucks. Like I mean, the fact that we were just all doing that as long as we were, and I don't know about you guys, but it's like not having to commute, and I mean, you don't get to listen to music as much, or like, you know, that part was nice, but fuck, man, it just, my life is way better without any of that shit. I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, so are you working from home too?
Yeah, year and a half into working from home for sure. So yeah, so that's cool. It's cool. I think like Daizha said, you kind of fit your life around that a little bit, which is nice. But I don't know. I find that like, I guess one thing that changes about I guess like going back to just creative process and whatnot is, I think it's like if you're just in your spot all day, like working, it can be a little hard to be like, all right, cool, I'm turning my work laptop off, and now I'm getting my music laptop out, and we're making beats, or we're working on music, like in the same space that you just did all this very left brain, very professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
what do you do to break that? Like,
you got to get out of the house, man. You got to go to the park, go to the gym, go like to the, you know, get some food with some friends or whatever. You got to do something to like break out of that space. Cause I feel like,
did you like relocate your space at all too? Like where you're working in different areas, or?
I try to do that a little bit. Try to like maybe work from like the deck or work from the dining room table, so it's not always in my little like home office. You know what I mean? Where the
this
music
room
stuff
gets
is.
really small.
Yeah.
Like when I started like kind of moving out there quite a bit, or going outside when I'm working the daytime stuff, because like when I'm in here, I want like no distractions. You know,
Exactly.
like it's way better to like be. I heard somebody say once, like, you're not a writer if you're in the same room as like a computer, or like a phone or any kind of distraction, because you can't like tap into that full potential with those like distractions.
Yeah, you can't get in that flow state if you're like getting a text and you're like, oh, I gotta check, you know, fucking Instagram or LinkedIn or something. You know,
what do you like? Just do you just put your phone out of the room, or?
Yeah, I mean, not always, but I've definitely noticed it's helpful to like turn it upside down, like put it across the room, put it in another room, so you can actually like focus.
It's hard though.
It's hard.
Yeah, because those little like those mental breaks, like you want them, but that's where you're like working the best. Actually, it's fucking. I hate that feeling. It's such like a gut wrenching, like, ugh, like this is a job right now, but.
I know. I feel like it's gotten to the point sometimes, like, where I'm like, oh, I don't have any text messages, and I'm like disappointed, and then I'm like, why am I upset at that? Like, phone is like crack.
Yeah, we were just talking about this like literally a couple hours ago about like sometimes I don't like my phone because I realize like same deal. I'll be like, oh, I don't have any texts, like, and feel bad about it. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why am I craving this like dopamine hit from like notifications?
It's crazy.
It's
I guess this was like 3 years ago. My friend sent me this article of people going into the hospital, checking themselves in because they were like having anxiety when their phone wasn't around them. Like actually having like not breakdowns, but like real anxiety that they couldn't explain. Like they'd be sitting there, like there's this thing like Ghost Pocket where like you think your phone vibrates when it doesn't actually, and you're like, I don't know, that relationship. I can't even say it. I was like, it's bad. I mean, it's when you're out in public too, and you're like, oh, I just want to fucking look, and you're like, when you really think about it, it's like opening a newspaper in front of people's face. Like you're not engaged and like, I don't know. It's how old are each of you?
28.
28?
Yeah. 26.
Okay. So, I mean, we had the fucking like button phone. You know, like it wasn't
the T9, like the sliding and all that. Yeah, the Razor.
Yeah. Was the iPhone like your age or what?
I mean, I had a Sidekick. I don't know about y'all. I had a Sidekick. I had a Razor, like the chocolate Razor.
That was the shit.
Yeah, I thought it was so. I remember he'd be like, my uncle got the Sidekick first, and I was like, I will fold all your laundry. Can I please take the Sidekick to school? I took the Sidekick to school, and I thought I was so cool. And it was a brick. But I think the iPhone came probably when I was like 15 or something, 16. Damn. Yeah.
That's wild. I remember it was like my last year of college or something when it hit. It was like this, it was like from space or something. It looked so different. And like, I remember just the idea of like apps. I'm like, what the fuck? This is like a computer that you carry around. And then it just, I can't imagine going backwards at this point. It's crazy.
Oh, you know Razors are back though, right?
Are they?
Like I saw a commercial the other day and it's like the Razor. And I'm like, oh my God, we're not doing this again. Yeah, they're back.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Once was enough.
God damn. I bet you though, at some point there's going to be a movement of where people are like, yeah, this isn't good for us. And like the phone is like our generation's cigarette. Like
real talk.
Yeah. It's,
I don't know. This could be completely made up, but I feel like I read somewhere that like cell phones like can actually cause cancer. Like you're not supposed to like hold them on your body.
Yeah.
So
there was always the radio or what the fuck from the signal like being on your ear.
Yeah.
That was the fear. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Like I don't fucking.
Let's stick to music.
I know what you're saying though, where it's like somebody described it as like a leash. Like where if you're in public and say you're like dating somebody and they're texting you the whole time, you're like, fuck, like I just want to be present in this moment. And like, I gotta, if I don't answer, and then there's all these like weird interpersonal things that happen where like fucking relationships get like, oh, they didn't text me back. And I don't know.
The anxiety, the expectations, the unspoken stuff. Yeah. And then it's like it stops us from actually like living in the moment. Like you said, it's a leash. That's a good way of putting it.
You ever like text your parents and you accidentally use the wrong emoji? You're like, damn, I just winked at my dad. Like, that's
it's a weird look.
Oops, hit him with that eggplant. Oops.
That's the kind of stuff I'm like, why is this a thing?
It's crazy. God damn.
He's been there.
Do you like, how do you, out of curiosity, do you guys text each other well? Like, be real. Like, is he bad with his phone or?
Put me on blast.
Like,
because I've messaged you a couple times on IG and it takes a minute to get back to you or back like, and I figured just creative type, like he's in the fucking lab working.
I'm not the best at getting back to people in general, man. There's nothing personal. I'm better at like
cracking up right now when he's hearing this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You guys are boys, but
yeah.
Is he bad with it?
I don't know. Like, I feel like
you can put me on blast. It's all right. I know.
Look, it's permission or no?
Yes, double permission.
I think with Nate, you know what? What's so cool about like our friendship is like, I feel like we can not talk for like a month, but like pick right back up. I don't ever take it personal because I'm that person with like 122 text messages, right?
Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Who are you talking to?
People, I work a lot and like, I mean, my clients are never left, you know,
This is, women, like, the way women communicate via text is so different than guys. Like, if a guy texts me, not sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Like,
go ahead.
like, and we're having an exchange. Like, he'll say something. I mean, I'm a comic, so like, we just say fucking ridiculous shit to each other. So they'll say like something crazy that happened, or send me a ridiculous picture that's like politically incorrect, and like it's like Jesus Christ, and you crack up. Then we don't talk for weeks.
Exactly.
You know, it's just understood. Whereas I feel like with girls, like, whenever I've dated one or like friends with one, they just want like this open dialogue all throughout the day where I'm like, I need to live my life in order to like give you something for me to talk. Like, we're just, what's up? Not much. How about you? Just chilling. Cool. I'm going to go get lunch. What'd you have? A salad. Nice. Was it good? Yeah. And then there's just no substance to what you're actually fucking talking about.
Yeah, I don't like that either. And I think you said it perfectly. Like, I think with certain people, it's just like understood, right? Like, I don't take it personal because I wouldn't want someone to take it personal if I didn't text back, you know?
Yeah.
I hate that guilty feeling of like, it's not, because it's really not personal. But also, like, yeah, that's why I don't really, like, date, really, because it's, like, I hate that, too. I would much rather, like, talk on the phone.
Same.
Like, I would rather, like, have that end-of-night phone call, have some laughs. Like, that's my thing. Yeah, texting is just, there's too much.
It was interesting. I worked with this guy this weekend. He's, like, got Asperger's, and it's the first comic I ever worked with that was, like, full autistic, and like, I get it mixed. Whatever he is, he's something. Yeah. He had these T-shirts where it was the Wendy's logo, and it was just his face, and on the bottom it said "Old Fashioned Asperger's," and it was spelled ASS Burgers, and they sold the fuck out. It was great, but he's super funny. But we were talking about, like, for him, how he interacts with people through text, like it's totally different because like, I mean, first off, the emotion side is just gone all the time.
I love that. I love that so much.
You like that there's no emotion
Absolutely. Like, especially at Slack. You know what Slack is? Like, do you use Slack?
I don't. I'm glad I don't, but it's good?
Bless.
I had to, like...
Does it suck?
I have to, like, tell people, like, when they join, like, my team and stuff, like, hey, just let you know, like, if I ever am, like, short via Slack, it's because I think that that's, like, the purpose of Slack. To, like, be straight to the point, like, no emotion. Take any emotion you feel out of the communication. Like, it's just, I prefer not having to assume what someone thinks and just go with what exactly they said.
Yeah. That's, like, psycho shit, though.
Hey.
It's weird, too. I mean, I'm in a corporate environment. Not gonna put the name out there, but like, each tool has its own fucking intent, but everybody has their own opinion of what the intent is. So you get, like, an email from somebody and they want to have a full, like, 7 emails back and forth. You're like, just send me an IM. Like, this is what this tool is for. And then I'm sure Slack has its own thing, and fucking, I don't know. It just gets confusing at some point. Like, why can't we just all agree to use one form of fucking communication? Because there's 12 different apps now. I'm getting heated.
I'm with you. I feel you.
I think there should be a voice app. I say forget emails, forget Slack, and we should just all, like, imagine.
Walkie-talkies.
Well, like, just a voice memo, like, the whole time. Like, instead of a meeting for an hour, instead of, like, a long thread where everyone's CCing, like, just vocal. Like, hey, this is what we need today. All right, boom,
Coming
done.
from the lyricist. Bars. This makes all the sense in the world.
Just forget writing.
If they did that, I think I'd kill myself, because my mom would never stop using it. She sends me voice memos all the time, and I'm like, it's like she's thinking out what she's saying, so there's like 5-second pauses in between things, and I've left my voicemail full for like 4 years now, because both my parents were the only ones sending me voicemails, and it was just, but just text me or whatever, like,
yeah.
or I'll call you back. I don't know. Luckily, they don't listen to the podcast. But let's get back to music a little bit, though. So, Nate, for when you're going in to, like, come up with beats and stuff, like, do you have an idea what you're trying to do in your mind? Or, like, is it just, like what does that look? Is it vary case by case or what?
Yeah, I think it varies a little bit on the context, right? Like, so if it's just me by myself making a beat, I'm probably just gonna do whatever I feel like, right? And that's a little different than, say, I'm working with another producer. Well, then it's like, we're probably gonna be like, all right, you add some drums, all right, cool, I'm gonna add some melody, and kind of go back and forth, consult with each other, you know, make sure it's a consensus-based decision for the most part, right? Different from if it's just me and, like, an artist. then the artist is probably going to be like, hey, this is like kind of the vibe I'm having in mind. And like, I'm kind of catering the production process to them, you know, as we go. So it really just kind of depends.
Are there certain personality types that like you've learned you don't work well with? Like whether it be producers or musicians, like.
Yeah, I think I think it can be hard to work with someone that wants to like take over and just kind of like make all the decisions. Not only for music, it's like a my way or the highway type of person in life. Not only in music is difficult to reckon with at times. Makes it a little less collaborative, a little less like, all right, you know, are we doing this together, or are you just like
you want to call the shots,
running over everyone? You know what I mean? Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that. Nah. But yeah. So
it man, I just thought have you seen the David Geffen thing on Netflix yet?
I don't think I have. No,
it's really, really good. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but both you guys should check it out. I think you'd like it a lot. Just like he was like a power agent and manager that signed like tons and tons of people. I'm only like 30 minutes in, but it's rad.
That sounds dope.
Yeah. But who's your favorite type of person to work with though? Like, cause you said you like bouncing stuff back and forth with another producer. Like, in that situation, like what's the goal? Like, are you trying to please each other or please an artist, or like what? Or maybe that question doesn't make sense.
No, that makes a ton of sense. I think in terms of your question about like what type of person, it's like, I think what can be really cool is if you work with someone that's like got a different strength than you, right? So like one of my favorite friends and producers that I work with, I mean, he's super talented all around, but he's really just like amazing with like drums and percussion. So oftentimes when we work together, it's kind of, we've made so many, you know, songs together that, you know, a lot of the time it's like he's taking care of more of the drums and I'm taking care of more of like the bass and like the melody.
Can we give him credit?
Yeah, it's Kazadi.
Okay.
Who he's in the area. He's with like Day One Entertainment, if you know them. So
and are you like, where are you doing that? Is it in the studio most of the time, or just at each other's places, or like where?
Yeah, it'll be at each other's places. Or we even a few months back we went to like Oregon Coast, just me, him, and another one of my buddies who's kind of there like taking pictures, video, like documenting a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to like go and have like a creative environment, whether that's at our place or whether that's like on a trip. Or
these getaway trips look sick, dude. It's
the best.
Yeah, dude.
Because that's where like we're talking about like being able to get in flow state and get like away from distractions. Like that's how you can really like lock in and like catch a vibe for a weekend in terms of like music.
Yeah, I know Rick Rubin did that a lot, and like for one of Nirvana's album, actually, they did that too. So it seems like a lot of like really good acts, they just fucking go and like separate themselves, which
100%.
It just sounds fun too. Like like just stay awake as long as you can, sleep whenever the fuck you want. And that it sounds like Travis and Mike. I've had them both on. Travis Thompson, like it sounds like their whole house is just that. Like they're just, I mean, he's got to do shows and shit, but like Mike was talking about, like he'll wake up at like 4 PM and like go out to the living room, and Travis like, this is what I have an idea for cover art or whatever, and they just start working together on shit, and they'll be up for however long it takes to work, and then they just go with the creative energy, which is rad. But it's hard to do when you fucking have to sell houses. Like
it actually has not been too hard, I would
Really?
say. Yeah, because I mean, I only work with a certain amount of clients at a time. You don't want to like overbook yourself, and like the way it falls in line, it's like I'm maybe showing a couple houses during the week, but like a lot of the time, like when I go work with like Nate or like Pete, like it's like after hours, which is always a vibe, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's like 12 o'clock and I don't know, but if when it has occurred, like it's pretty easy to move things around.
Yeah. And when you're working with somebody like Nate, like what are you kind of looking for?
Vibes. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like I always say that.
Just vibes, man.
Yeah.
Just vibes. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I take advantage a little bit with Nate because he's so talented with like piano and stuff. So I'm like, can you play this? Can you play that? And I get so hype. But I would say probably, just to bring his full creative self when he comes. And I don't feel like there's much thinking. We just kind of we've always just picked up and started like just doing music together. And it's always just like, damn, that was really cool. Like, that was really nice. Yeah.
It's so weird that it was just coincidental too that you guys met.
Some might call it fate.
The universe, man.
Damn. Before we, I just got a couple other questions. Let me see. Is there anybody that you're actively like trying to avoid working with? Like, not just in general, but like,
not here.
Like, yeah.
Trying to get us caught
And he
up.
can find you, like, personality types.
Just a couple more questions.
We'll put his name in the show notes.
I'm just kidding.
Honestly, like, I feel like I could pretty much work with anyone that is not super judgmental, right? Like, I feel like that's the biggest turnoff for me, is someone who is like, just, I don't know, makes you feel like what you're bringing to the table isn't as valuable as what they're bringing to the table, if that makes sense. I think it's so cool when everybody is confident in what they're bringing to the table, and like we can all create together.
But what about like the overconfident person that like what they're delivering doesn't meet the confidence? What do you guys feel about that? Because there's the other side of that. Because there's, I guess, when you said that, do you have any thoughts on this? You don't have to name names.
I'm not naming names.
Yeah.
But that makes it difficult. You just gotta. I think like I've learned some hard lessons there. Not to go into specifics, but just about like, you know, you gotta kind of obviously like be respectful of people, but still like know your boundaries and like not just be like a yes man. Like, yeah, I'll work on that for you. You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, how much work have you put into this? Like, how serious are you? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You had that conversation with me one time too.
Yeah,
like, yeah, I love that. We talk about a lot of this stuff. It's like you knew what we talk about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a vibes person. I pick up on vibes and that.
You know the vibes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This actually one I like. I wrote the question. God, that was such a douchey thing. Feel free to cut that, Henry. I like the question I wrote. How do you guys feel about music that you've written that you look back on now? Because let me preface this. I think like when you start making music or any kind of art, whatever you want to call it sounds douchey calling it that, but like as you progress, it should get better. Like assuming you yourself are getting better. So anything you look back, you're like developing while you're creating, and then eventually hope that it like reaches a certain point of quality. Like, would you say that's been true for you, or do you just hate the stuff you used to do, or do you still like a lot of it?
I would like to say, I feel like I started doing, I take music a lot more serious now than I used to when like my mom and stuff was involved. But I don't know, I've had people like look me up and be like, hey, I heard this song of yours. Like when I was, I want to say 14 years old, this local rapper was like, hey, will you write this hook for me? And he's like in his 30s. And so I wrote this like innocent hook, and the song that he wrote to it after the fact was like super sexual, and like my voice is like this little baby voice.
What the
and
fuck?
I'm like, but it totally made what I was singing sexual too. And so it's like, it's on the internet, it's out there, right? So that's one of those cringe moments for me. So
Well, that's another thing that's relevant too, is like there's like the context gets lost sometimes.
yeah.
And like I've had situations like this where like we do fake sponsors for, I mean, you've seen some of them, and like what I try to do and what happens and then how the artwork comes into it, like that's three different like things that could change the direction of it. And then when I play it back like a month afterwards, I'm like, man, this sounds so different to me, like my ear than, and you have to like give yourself that creative freedom to do stuff. and turn off like the editor brain, but like fuck, then you come back to it with a clear set of eyes. You're like, this is what people heard, like or whatever. Like, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think time gives you perspective, right? And you can kind of come back to things and see, like, I know, like looking back at some older things I've worked on, oftentimes I'll be like, oh, that's still pretty good, great. And then sometimes I'll be like, oh, I see what I was trying to do, but that was really poorly executed.
Yeah.
Like 10 out of 10 idea, 3 out of 10 execution. And so I think hopefully you just, you know, as you go along, become a better executor of your ideas. So like kind of like what you're talking about, you figure out how to
soften the edges.
You have to mix so many things together and like, you know, get it as close to what you had in your head as to what the actual, you know, end result is. I think that gap gets hopefully closed over time.
I've heard like the best artists are able to execute at most 10% of what is the idea in their head, which is crazy, you know. But like that's why Kanye is so good. It's just all right, last set of questions, and so what do you guys think about Seattle music and like just the scene overall, and like do you have any favorite artists that you want to call out and just say like, you know, check these people out? Or
Daizha Richardson.
There we go. You need to get your shit on a page somewhere. This is like,
oh my, it's happening. It's happening.
It'd be funny if like when you played, your music was just horrible here.
I know. You're like,
like we promoted you for an hour and then it's like, oh man, what was that?
That's always
no pressure.
That's like the worst when someone's like, you ask someone to sing for you and you're like, oh, like you have to pretend, like not pretend, but like how do you react?
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Bad singing might be the worst, like bad performance thing too. You know what I mean? Like bad piano is pretty bad, but like bad drumming's bad. Bad singing is rough.
What if I couldn't sing? That'd be crazy. You're like, do you have any music? You're like, asked me to do the podcast. You're like, by the way, do you have any music?
Well, I knew you had videos like on your Instagram and shit, but like, get on that, please. And back to the like scene. Who do you like who do you like Seattle wise, and then what do you just think about Seattle music scene overall?
Name dropping over here now. I think the Seattle music scene, I didn't actually start getting into it until I met Nate. Like, it's like I met Nate, and then all of a sudden, like, all these amazing people that he became friends with, like, I started to become friends with. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea there's so many talented people. Yeah. Like, Campanos, his Matter of Time project was just, I'm like, how does your mind even, like, think like that? And, like, I know a couple of you guys, like, were helping with that, and it's just like, dang, like, people are so creative.
He's an interesting guy. Like, he came on early on the podcast, and this in and of itself is sort of like a version of what we're talking about today. Like, podcasting's hard, dude. Like, it's way harder than it looks. And like, he came on when I was really early on, so I didn't get to like pick his brain. I wish I would have hung out with him a little bit more, but he's very calculated. Like, just like the gears are turning all the time. He's a smart guy. But anybody else besides him that like?
There's a few people. I mean, obviously besides my guy here, unlocked it all. I would say another friend of ours that I work with is Cruz. Super, super talented, just like very well-rounded musician. Female artist, I would say there's this one woman, and I think she's phenomenal. Her name is Archie. And I just think, I don't know, when I watch her stuff and see like clips and snippets of like her performing, and I'm just like, I had to message her. I'm like, you literally like inspire me. Like, she's just beautiful. She's just fine. Like, I don't know. And talented, and just everything is well put together. You know, sometimes there's like a strong singer, but maybe not a strong performer, or like, oh, she's a really good singer, but like maybe doesn't look the part, whatever, like full package. Yeah. So I love that.
I might have to check her out. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. You name drops. I think some of the people I would, which is P. Cruz, Campana. I mean, those are guys that I've like roommated with and know really well.
Yeah. I would like, just for people listening, if they're interested, P. Cruz dropped like a single not too long ago, and it's it's P period KRUISE. Okay, because
all lowercase.
Lowercase, yeah. I've talked to him a couple times. I want to have him come on here, but
You should. Yeah.
Dude, his voice is like, and his music, like it just. Did you produce some of that?
He is like the main force behind that. I've been in the room and like giving him my opinion on a little couple things, but he's the one who's really driving that. He's super impressive guy.
It's like, it's just beautiful. Like it's fucking so well produced, and like his voice and it, whatever. What's the name of that song that he dropped?
Mint, I think you might be thinking of.
Yeah, I think so. It was just.
Yeah, it's a vibe for sure.
He's fucking great. But go anybody else besides those guys?
I feel bad if I'm leaving anybody out.
Right.
Oh my god, I feel like this is a really loaded question. I feel like it's I can't. I don't know. There's a lot of really talented people in Seattle. That I'm like, I just started meeting people, so hope to meet more.
It just is, it's weird when you get into a scene like that, because comedy has a similar scene, and it's just like, there's so many people that they're working day jobs. So when you think of musicians, you're like, oh, these people are like, this is what they do full time or whatever. There's very few people that get the privilege to do that, but there's still people that are just as talented and like working arguably harder and stuff, and it's like most people aren't privy to the scene, like did you know about any of this before you met him and met all those people?
Like, did I know
of the Seattle music scene? And like,
I know. See, when I was doing music, it was like everybody was on like Macklemore's single. Like everybody and their uncle produced that, right? So I felt like I knew that there was a scene there, but I didn't know how talented all of these people were because I didn't have access to it as much.
For sure.
But now that I'm meeting all these people, I'm just like, like mind blown. So
yeah, there are two people I think of that we didn't mention, not to like have it be a loaded question, but I saw her live 2 years ago now at like the Pavilion in Everett, and she Paris Alexa with Travis. Unreal. Like that was, and then Elon, what's his last name?
Oh yeah, Elon. I think works with Nima with Ruby Room. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
he's great too. I saw him with Soul and with Travis. And
nice.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah, because I think our Soul's band.
Soul, super talented. I'm going to his concert. I got to work with him recently, which was really cool. He like came to my session. And Nima, yes. See, but I thought you meant like singers.
Oh, gotcha.
Rappers. But yes, very, very talented people. Again, mind blown.
Yeah. If any of them want to come on here, I've tried to get Soul on like 10 times now, and I love his music, and his story is like just I mean, didn't he go abroad for like a couple? Yeah.
I don't know.
I've been hearing about him like since I moved to Seattle. He's crazy, but anyway, let's fucking have you guys play some music. Let's do it. Let's do it. Make sure it's not piercing my ears. Let's do like a little bit of a sound check though to make sure with the guitar.
Is this live? I'm just kidding.
Broadcasting live to the internet right now.
Do you need to do vocal warm-ups?
No. Only if you do them with me.
Okay. You want to play a little bit, Nate, and just
probably give this some distance.
You think I should have the guitar lower than her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not too low, though.
Not super low.
Yeah.
Tell me how it sounds.
I think that's about right.
Sounds. You could turn my vocals up a little bit.
I just don't want it to clip.
Yeah, right.
Does that sound good?
I think we're about right, yeah.
Yeah. If we need somebody to fix the levels, you can produce it.
Got you.
What's the name of the song?
Not Trying to Fall in Love.
And where are people gonna find it eventually?
Wherever, no, I'm just kidding. Wherever this podcast lands. No, I think I will drop on Apple Music.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, I'm just, Spotify. Are you an Apple Music guy or Spotify guy?
Spotify.
Dang, I don't know why. I love
Spotify's the
Apple
way
Music.
to go.
Really?
For sure, yeah.
Well, all platforms soon enough.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I don't trust myself no more. Say I'm here when I'm there, what am I lying for? You, he's got me lying to you. He just touched me way too good, and he says the things you should. Ooh, that's why I'm lying to you. He's gonna kiss my body while you're missing my body. For all the times you had me wildin', you'll be missing me. Not trying to get caught up, not trying to be in love, 'cause I don't trust myself anymore. Yeah, not trying to get caught up, not trying to be in love, 'cause I don't trust myself anymore. Ooh, why complicate the situation? When I'm building up, he puts it down, erases all frustration. You know I never fake it, oh no, I never fake it. Oh boy, if I recall, you used to have it all. Wasn't ready to fall, your players up, I got it all. Right now I want it all, yeah, yeah. He's gonna kiss my body while you're missing my body. For all the times you had me wildin', you'll be missing me, you'll be missing me. Not trying to be in love, 'cause I don't trust myself anymore. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Jeez. I was not expecting that, dude. That was really, really good.
Oh, man. Always brings it out of me.
It's all good. She's a superstar.
This is... Henry, you fucked up by missing this today. Like, that was...
That was
just
my
going
first
from
live.
like nothing to then hearing that too, like it was. You have a very beautiful voice.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Took my breath away a little bit, and that was fucking awesome, dude. Yeah, I want more, but I mean, I know you guys only got one song, but that's,
next one.
Yeah, we'll come back with more sometime
for sure. Let's see. Trying to compose myself. Where can where you want to pull the mic up to you, Nate? Just so, where can people find all your stuff if they want to just follow you and keep an eye out for your music and stuff?
Instagram, DAIZHA.Richardson. Also, we follow each other, so you can just go ahead and stalk Adam's page, Daizha.
Stalk Adam.
Yeah, stalk Adam.
And Nate, where you at?
Yeah. IG's a good place for me as well. It's Nate Tirey, so NateTirey.
Cool.
That's your boy.
And is your music like on Spotify at all, or is it?
Yeah, I got stuff just linked there where just like things where I've helped with production and things like that. And then I'll have some more stuff that's like under my name on Spotify probably like later this year. It looks
Cool.
like.
Under just Tirey.
Under Nate Tirey.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on. That was really cool. Thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram at FNF Pod and rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. We're going to leave you with Seattle's Jaga.